Welcome to Daily Life Connection. Thank you for joining me again today. Today I want to talk about the God of equal shares. The God of equal shares. There's an amazing story in 1 Samuel chapter 30 about David's going into battle. I won't go into the whole story, but he goes into battle to recover what has been taken from him and his people in the city of Ziklag. And he goes on a raiding party to get back, to recover what had been stolen, his family, his possessions, and everything. And he has 600 men with him. When they come to the river Beshon, they 400 of them go across the river with him, but 200 of them are so weak and so tired and so exhausted that they just say, we can't go on. We can't do this. And they give up and sit down on the bank of the river. And so David goes with his 400 men and goes on and fights the battle and recovers all of the possessions and people and servants that had been stolen, the livestock and everything. And he brings it back. And when they come back across the river with all this stuff, there's those 200 people who were so weak and so tired and exhausted or just discouraged or whatever it was that they couldn't go on and fight. And some of his men are saying, well, we're not going to share all the loot with them because they didn't do anything to win it. And David says this amazing thing. He says, the share of those who go to battle with me is going to be the same as the share of those who stayed with the baggage. The share of those who went on and were victorious is going to be the same as the share of those who gave up. Equal shares for everybody. Well, of course, everything in the Old Testament is a picture of Jesus, and this story represents Jesus to us. David does, in that Jesus, when he won the great victory on the cross, it was a victory over the enemy, and he raided the enemy's kingdom and brought back everything for humanity. He is the God who gives out equal shares to those who are strong and valiant and fighters and warriors, and to those who just end up so weak and exhausted and discouraged that they sit down in despair on the bank of the river and watch the rest go off to battle. Doesn't seem fair, does it? Unless we understand that all of us, at some points in our lives, are like the 200 who stayed behind. We get to a point in our lives where we're ready to give up. We get to a point where we're exhausted. We get to a point of where we just feel like we can't put one foot in front of the other. And the reality is, God is that is Jesus, and he's representing Father. The God that we serve is the God who will give us an equal share to those who are most valiant in battle. That's grace. That's grace. And it's incredibly good news when we understand and realize that none of us are the brilliant warriors all the time. None of us are the faithful servants that slog and with the leader all the time. Sometimes we give up. Sometimes we sit down. Sometimes we just slump back in despair and in the darkness, and we let it overwhelm us. And we just don't say, I can't go on. That's not going to limit the blessings and the giftings and the glory of God on our lives. Jesus said, everybody gets an equal share of what I have won. That's amazing. It's wonderful. It's incredibly good news. So that's my encouragement to us today. Understand, he is the God of equal shares. He will give you and I just as much of his bountiful blessing, no matter what our performance is. That's incredibly good news. And I just want to encourage you and strengthen your heart today in that. When we do give up, when we do feel we're too weary to go on, it's not an excuse to never fight, to fight the good fight of faith. But it is good news to the fact that when we are weak and when we can't go on, he's not going to cut us out of the victories that he's won, of the blessings of the kingdom of heaven. In Ephesians 1, it says, "Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who has blessed us with every spiritual blessing in the heavenly realms." And in 2 Peter chapter 1, it talks about that he has given us everything necessary for life and godliness, not dependent on our performance, but just because he is a God who gives equal shares to everybody. That's good news. Let's think about it. Rejoice in that. We'll talk again tomorrow.